Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the first video in this series. Let me start with the most important skill set, which is the need of the hour. A lot of young professionals who are about to join into their professional careers, they require the most important skill set, which is communication skills. Many of us know about this topic, but let me give you my insights on this topic. Communication skills is what you require when you're studying in a college, doing a job in a company, or building relationships in life. Because if you're lacking communication skills, then you will face discomfort throughout your careers. Then let us understand what is the main purposes of communication. To me, like there are four important purposes of communication. And let me start with number one, which is facilitation. So, the purpose of communication is to facilitate the exchange of information and knowledge. And moving on to the second purpose of communication, which is to convey concepts, to convey ideas, to convey opinions, and also the feelings. And the purpose number three is to develop human relationships and manage human resources. And the last purpose of communication is to transform. That means to transform individuals into leaders. So these are all the four very critical purposes of communication. Let us now move on to what actually are the drawbacks in the form of barriers for our communication. There are a few aspects which we must consider here. First one is the physical barriers. So people are a little bit more cautious about the physical attributions, the way they look physically. That could be the most important and the first of its own kind of communication barrier. And then when it comes to the second barrier, it is perceptual barriers. People have different perceptions, and because of their perceptions, they cannot able to communicate properly and meaningfully. And the third one is emotional barriers. So we're all human beings, and we all are born with a different sort of emotions and a different sort of feelings, different sort of perspectives and everything. So uh, our emotions will definitely plays a very critical role in communicating with the people. So if you're emotionally not balanced, then emotional barriers will occur during our communication process. The other one is cultural barriers. Now we are living in a multicultural society where we need to work with a lot of people from cross-cultural identities. So we must have a cultural awareness in order to overcome this barrier. And then we have language barriers. We all know that some of us may not be good at using language. We are not good at language skills. So during the communication process, language would also play a very important role. So if you are not comfortable with the language and the language related skills, then definitely it would be considered as a barrier. And then the gender barrier. So I hope this won't be a barrier anymore, but we need to consider this also as one of those communication barriers. And finally, interpersonal barriers, because some of us are a lack of interpersonal skills, and in fact, that could be because of a lack of intrapersonal communication skills. So these interpersonal barriers would also be considered as the communication barrier. So one must consider these barriers and try to overcome as much as possible in order to move forward in their communication process. Now, let us move on to discuss more deep about the core language skills. So, when it comes to the core language skills, there are two different types of language skills we must concentrate on. And many of us are aware of the basic language skills, which is very important for any language learner. They are listening skills, speaking skills, reading skills, and writing skills. So let us divide these core language skills into two different types, which is receptive skills. So under this receptive skills, we'll consider two important aspects from LSRW, which are listening and reading. And then let us move on to the next one, which is the productive skills. So under this productive skills, we get the remaining two LSRW skills, which are speaking skills and writing skills. So one must have a great command on these receptive as well as the productive skills. And let us now look into every aspect of this LSRW. So what are the language skills required for effective communication? As far as we concern towards to make an effective communication, let us start with the listening, because we all know that listening is the mother of all language skills. And if you look at the contribution of listening skills in the whole part of your communication, we can award it with the 45%. So 45% of listening skills are required for anybody to be an effective communicator. And then speaking, because we all know speaking improves your confidence, which also makes you so comfortable while communicating with the people. So make time to enjoy speaking. This is where the speaking skills makes you feel much more confident. And the contribution of speaking skills for effective communication is 30%. And then comes the reading. Reading is a gateway skill that makes all other language skills possible, and the contribution of reading skills is 16%. And when it comes to the last in the entire cycle, which is the writing skill, and writing is something people call it as the painting of voice. So writing skills contribution for the effective communication is 9%. So on a whole, all these listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills are much needed and necessary for any effective communication. Now, when it comes to productive skills, which are required for effective communication, are as we discussed earlier in this video, that speaking skills and writing skills comes under the productive skills category. So, in these productive skills, which are required for effective communication, let me start with the speaking skills. So, a lot of people have different ideas and different perspectives about perceptions, in fact, about speaking skills. But let me have a clarity on that one. Speaking is not a talent. It is a skill that can be developed over a period of time. And then non-verbal skills, because 55% of our communication is all about depending on the non-verbal cues, like the way we handle our body, the way we use our gestures, our facial expressions, our eye contact, our smile, our appearance, and all these, like 55% of our communication is all depending on these non-verbal cues. So one must be very careful about these non-verbal skills too. And then comes the writing skills, because writing makes you a complete person. So in order to see yourself as a complete person, we must acquire the writing skills which are needed for our effective communications. And let us now moving on about speaking. As I told you earlier, speaking is a skill that can be learned, that can be developed, that can be polished, and further, that can be perfected. So start learning it, start developing it, start polishing it, and finally, the end result you will enjoy is you will perfect the speaking skill. And if you understand this philosophy, you'll be much more confident, much more clear with your speaking skills. If you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change people's life. Keep this idea in mind and start developing your speaking skills for your effective communication. And then let us concentrate on what are the factors which are hindering us from speaking. There are a few factors which one must consider, particularly the language learners. And let me start with the first factor, which is a psychological factor. So, what are the things comes under this psychological factors which hinders us from speaking? First one is mother tongue interference. So if your mother tongue is interfering even now and then, or majority of the time when you're speaking, that is because of the psychological unawareness, or you're not psychologically aware about how to use your language skills without the interruption or interference of the mother tongue. And fear of making mistakes, a lot of other people will also have this as a factor psychologically. People fear of making mistakes, and then comes shyness, then comes nervousness, then comes inhibition, and then followed by these three, anxiety. So a lot of people are victims of this anxiety to communicate in English. They have good command over language, but when people ask any questions and they were expected to give an answer, or people start some conversations, and during those conversations, people feeling anxiety in order to communicate in English. That could be one of the psychological factors which hinders us from speaking. And then demotivating by other performances or other students in the class who are learning the language skills in a college, in a school, etc. And the other one is difficulty in finding chances to practice speaking skills. So one must be aware of having a practice of a speaking skills with a good partner. So we must understand the value of a partner in order to improve our speaking skills. And then comes lack of confidence and motivation. And finally, lack of three A's, which are awareness about speaking, aptitude towards speaking, and aptitude of speaking. So these are all major psychological factors which are hindering us from speaking. And we can consider these are all the psychological factors which actually hinders us from speaking. Let us now move on to the factors which hinders from speaking, which comes under the language factors. So language factors means like we do not have adequate vocabulary, like inadequate vocabulary is a language factor which hinders us from speaking. And different in syntax, because different languages uses different syntax in the mother tongue. And once we are in translation mode, we wanted to use the translation. That is how we find difficulty in understanding the syntax of English language. And then unaware of pronunciation, because English language is all about how you deliver it, because now we are using language for a global perspective. So one must have an awareness on the global pronunciation skills. And then fluency, because lack of fluency is also a factor which hinders us from speaking. And then spontaneity is also another important factor which hinders us from speaking. Then, what are the aspects needed for effective speaking? Because we have psychological factors, we have language factors. So, how could we overcome all of them? So, if we consider on these five areas particularly, then these aspects will definitely help us to improve our speaking, and we will turn as an effective speaker over a period of time. And first place is the pronunciation skills. So one must have great command over pronunciation skills, try to understand the phonetics and phonology of the English language, understand the sound system, and then practice your pronunciation aspect. And then second thing is lexical competence. So this aspect is critical because words carries the majority of the meanings in our communication. Don't worry if you are unable to make it in a complete sentence at the beginning of your language learning, because nobody is perfect at the beginning. So over a period of time, when you practice it, when you have the awareness on pronunciation skills, when you have a good number of vocabulary for your understanding and for your presentation, for your communication, that will definitely help you to turn as an effective speaker. And then understand the syntax. Generally, the English language sentences have the very common syntax. They follow the common syntactic value, that is subject, verb, and object. So one must have a clarity and idea of how the English sentences are constructed. And then how you articulate, because different tones we need to use, like for example, like falling tone and rising tone, sometimes fall and rise. So this is where your articulation comes into the place, and you must understand the pace, you must understand the pitch, because these aspects will be covered under articulation. And finally, comprehension. So when you are speaking, people need to comprehend you in a proper way, because if they cannot able to comprehend you, that will definitely breaks the communication process. So try to overcome the problems what you are facing, and try to incorporate these aspects in order to turn yourself as an effective speaker. Pronunciation skills, lexical competence, syntax, articulation, comprehension are the most important aspects one must need to take care in order to turn themselves or see themselves as an effective speaker. And what are these effective speech mechanism is all about? Let me start with the first effective speech mechanism concept, which is clarity in your thought. So one must have a clarity in their thought before they start speaking about anything. And then you must have the coherence in your speech, and try to show the enthusiasm. How you can bring the enthusiasm in your speech is during the communication, particularly, is you try to have the modulation in your voice. It's not like you speak in a monotonous voice. So if you start using the monotonous voice while you're speaking during your communication, that will not show the enthusiasm. So keep that enthusiasm with the help of modulating your voice, your tone. And when it comes to articulation, you need to take care about the pronunciation, you need to take about the pace, you need to take about your pitch. That means the emphasis you are giving on a particular syllable while you are speaking. And finally, keep yourself confident. Confidence in narration is also another effective speech mechanism. So try to follow all these five aspects of the mechanisms, which will help us to turn as an effective speaker. And then what are the non-verbal cues one must master during this communication process? Try to maintain a good eye contact, and try to control your facial expressions, and try to adopt yourself to a professional appearance, because maintaining eye contact, controlling your facial expressions, and adopting to a professional appearance will help you to master these non-verbal cues, and that will help you to be confident while communicating with the people around you. Now, when it comes to the writing skills, as I told you, good writing is nothing but the clear thinking which made visible for the people on a paper. And what are the common problems the people face in writing is use of inappropriate vocabulary. That's the reason one must have a great lexical competence, good word power. Because if you use an appropriate vocabulary, that will definitely add color to your communication. And if you use an inappropriate vocabulary, that could definitely considered as a great problem for us, particularly when you're using writing for your communication. And when you're writing, the another problem in the common problems, particularly the language learners face, are lack of clarity and misuse of punctuation marks, and lack of coherence in their writing, and misuse of verb tenses, and use in the complex writing phenomena. So these are all the six most common problems one need to overcome while writing and using writing skill for their communication. And then, after discussing the common problems of writing, let us talk about the principles of good writing. What makes our writing a better one? Try to organize the text to make it easy to understand for your reader. And while you're writing, be concise. Don't be too much lengthy with the sentence constructions. And use these transition words like the cohesive devices, connectors, conjunctions in order to show the transition of your ideas. And place the punctuation at the right place, and use appropriate verb tenses, and try always to write directly. That means try to write in active voice rather than using the passive construction of the sentences. And now let us discuss the reasons why communication is not enhancing. This is a broader perspective. In broader perspective, if you consider the reasons, I would feel there are five different reasons which which are not allowing us to enhance our communication skills. Number one, we do not spend enough time in interactions, because if you start spending enough time in interactions, that will definitely be a value added addition for our communication skills. And the second reasons why our communication is not enhancing is we do not reinvent strategies. If some strategy is not working between you and your partner during the communication process, try to analyze what went wrong and try to reinvent a new strategy which could be useful and which will help you to communicate in a proper manner between you and your partner. And then we do not, the third reason is we do not invite new changes, because we all know, friends, change is inevitable. So if you try to invite changes, then definitely you do see miracles working around you. And the fourth reason why our communication is not enhancing is we do not explore new perspectives. And then finally, we don't focus on our language skills. So one must try to spend enough time in interactions. If something is not working in the form of a strategy for your communication, try to reinvent new strategies and try to invite new changes if they are required for your communication to enhance. And then try to explore new perspectives, talk with as many different people as possible, understand the perspective, and then try to focus on your language competency, your language skills. Try to improve your speaking skills, try to improve your writing skills, try to improve your listening skills as well as your reading skills. That is how you can start, feeling comfortable, feeling happy, and at one point of time, you understand that your communication uh, is enhancing. Then my communication formula, as I always believe as a language teacher for a long time, is like comfort plus confident is equal to communication. Because if you feel comfort, like that means if you are feeling comfortable, then that will makes you feel confident, then automatically you will allow yourself to communicate very effectively. So you must feel comfort, which makes you feel confident, then you can communicate effectively. So now look into the broader perspective. What are the 21st century global communication skills? Let me start with the first one, which says in this entire wheel is that the clarity and concision is the most important aspect. And the second skill is body language. The third one is active listening. And the fourth is emotional intelligence. And then fifth one is friendliness, followed by the sixth skill, which is respect and showing an empathy, having an awareness culturally, and finally, feeling confidence. So, if we possess these nine global communication skills, then these skills will allow you to give and receive information effectively. That is how you will turn as an effective communicator over a period of time. And now, uh, let us talk about what are skills. A lot of people have a misconception that skills are something like we need to learn, we need to buy heart, we need to do a lot of things. Now, just try to understand these two important, very powerful lines. Skill is not what you learn, friends. Skill is something you acquire. So try to acquire skills rather than wasting your time in learning skills. And what is art of communication? Yeah, if you want to become a leader, so you must understand how to communicate. So the art of communication is a language of leadership. So that's what from this video. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. If you like this content and if you feel this is meaningful and worthy of learning something, uh, please do subscribe and follow this channel and share with your friends, with your dear ones, and whom you feel you need to share with these things. Uh, from me, bye bye from now, and let us meet again with another important topic with another video. By that time, see you. Take care. Happy learning. Thank you.